Welcome to this video that will illustrate different kinds of charts that are used in mathematics. We'll focus on these four in particular in two different videos. The first one that we'll look at involves pie and bar charts. We have particular charts that we use, and you have to understand that when you compare mathematics charts to what is done with such packages as Microsoft Excel and the old Lotus 123 and some of those spreadsheet programs, sometimes their definitions and their visual illustrations of these different kinds of charts are not necessarily accurate in terms of their appearance in mathematics. Sometimes they are and sometimes they're not, and I want to make sure these discrepancies are very clear that we're looking at from a mathematics perspective. The pie and bar chart, which I'm going to circle right here, and this is the focus for right now, will always be used when the data is qualitative. Qualitative means that the data is not measurable. You're talking about, for example, qualitative data would be such things as maybe the breeds of cats and dogs. If you have Dachshunds and Siamese and Poodles and names like that, those names as such are not measurable. If you're talking about colors, the definition of colors, red, blue, yellow, green, purple, pink, orange, violet, are not measurable. When I talk about quantitative, I'm talking about something that can be measured: the height, weight, number years like 2003, 2004, grades, pure measurable data. We're going to focus on the qualitative stuff this time. And when you're doing qualitative graphing, you're looking at either a pie chart or a bar chart. Now, I happen to have an example that I'll show you right here, and we're looking at the number of vehicles in a college parking lot. Notice that in this particular illustration, the data has the category of car. Notice the cars are American cars, Japanese cars, English cars, European cars, motorcycles. And that probably shouldn't say category of car, it probably should just say category. I might be better off I got this out of a book, I might be even better off using the word vehicle right here so I can include motorcycles in there. Now, those particular items are qualitative data, QUAL, qualitative, because those objects, and forget that production of tobacco, I got off on my track, I apologize for that. That's supposed to be on another screen. So I'll scoot that out real fast and apologize for that in the recording of this video. Oops. This is qualitative data. The car itself, or the kind of car, American, Japanese, English, European, motorcycle, are not measurable as such. Now, in this parking lot, the data that was determined noted 30 American cars, 25 Japanese cars, 5 English cars, 12 European cars, and 8 motorcycles. Now, because it's qualitative data, we're either going to use a bar chart or we're going to use a pie chart, and I'll actually go through and we'll draw each one of these. First of all, looking at the bar chart. Now, there are some very picky restrictions when you're drawing a bar chart. You want to have your information right here, right off the bat. When this is drawn, the data needs to be separated. We have to make the scale set up, and I'm just going to make this really simple right now. I'll show you a different, neater looking illustration in a minute. I'm going to go and just mark this in terms of units of 10, and thank you for letting me write a chart that's not the most neat looking one in the world. Now, when I mark this, what I'm going to do is I will label, and I hope you can see this. I'll try to scoot this without hitting a new screen. I want to label the word American right here, and I'm just going to abbreviate. I got American, I've got Japanese. I'm abbreviating in the interest of this video. I'll put ENG for English cars. I'll put European. I'll put the word other right there. And I'll put the word motorcycle or motor. I'm just going to make something really short. Now, I want the bar for American to go up to 30, so I'm going to make a bar that actually surrounds the word American. Notice how very meticulous I am when I say this. Notice that the word American is sort of covering the bar right here. For Japanese, it's going to be 25, which is going to be right about here. Notice that my bars are separated. They are not up against each other. That makes a big difference in mathematics. For English, it would be 5, which would be a little bit lower, and I'm just being very sketching right here. Other European cars, 12, and motorcycle would be 8. So somewhere along here, this would be sort of a general idea of the way the bar chart would look. Notice that I have the words, the qualitative data, the words are down here. Notice that the numbers are down here. Probably what I should do to really refine this, I should probably write down something like kind of vehicle to illustrate this information, and probably I should put something which I'm writing sideways, number of cars. And that would make the chart, and sorry for the scribbling, that would make the chart as neat as it can get. And you can do just a sketch as long as I've got the general idea of the values right there. That's perfectly all right. Now, if I were to do this same thing with a pie chart, I have to do it just a little bit differently. I'm going to leave the bar chart here for a minute, and I'm going to erase it so I have this same space available. And you can always rewind the video as needed individually. Now, in mathematics, when we're dealing with pie charts, we're always dealing with percentages, and you have to note that. So with a pie chart, it's a little different. Still dealing with this qualitative data, but if I'm drawing a pie chart, think percentages right here. And what I have to do first is I have to add these numbers together. So if I add 30, 25, 5, 12, and 8, if I've done my math right, I'm hoping now I'm getting, and those may even be percentages. It didn't say so in where I got the information. No, there aren't. I think the number adds up to a total of 80. And I'll do my math right here. 20, 30, 40, 50. That's 80 values right there. That's 80 for the total. Now what I have to do to get the pie chart percentages, I have to take each of these numbers, 30, 25, 5, 12, and 8, and divide them by the total. So each of these numbers will be divided by 80 in order to get my percentages. So 30 divided by 80, if you do this on the calculator, is decimal 375, which would go up to 37.5%. I would always go to at least one decimal place. I would never ever round off to a whole number, and I've really preached that in my classes, especially with data, statistics. 25 divided by 80 is roughly decimal 312, and that's 31.2%. 5 divided by 80 is going to be, I'm going to fast forward it, that's going to be roughly 6%, 6.2%, something like that. 12 divided by 80 is going to be 15%, decimal 15. 8 divided by 80 is a fairly easy one without calculating, although there may be some nervous people out there, and that's going to be 10%. So what I would do, and this will be a very poor sketch, but I'll give you a neater one in just a few minutes, you'd have a big circle right here for the cars, and have your center point. And if you want to think in terms of percentages, and as far as I'm concerned with this exercise, you can use a sketch rather than something that's super accurate. 37.5%, the number that's associated with American cars, is a little more than a third of the pie. So I'll divide that out like this, roughly a third of it. So I'll put 37.5 right there, and maybe put that this is American. Another third of the pie is roughly going to be a little less than a third. It's going to be, that looks probably more like a quarter, but you get the idea. 31.2 will be associated with the Japanese car. So 31.2% will be Japanese. And I'm going to go from small to large just to make my life easier. 15% is going to be for the other European cars. Another 10%. Again, this is not real accurate. I apologize for this, but just patronize me for right now. 10% is going to be for motorcycles. And I know this is a pitiful example, but it at least gives you an idea of how to get the chart. And the English cars will be 6%. What I'm going to do right here is show you this in a much nicer arrangement by flipping this page. and you're going to see this again. Here's the car data right here, where the number of American cars is 30, Japanese cars is 25, English cars 5, other European cars 12, motorcycles are 8. And there's the bar chart right there. Notice that they're separated. With the pie chart, it's coming right here on the right hand side. Here we go. You've got the percentages right there, and they've shaded these. It's much more accurate than mine is, but look at the idea. American cars is 37.5%. Remember, they got that by dividing the 30 by 80. The Japanese cars we got by dividing 25 by 80. And I wanted just to make sure that you understood, without a doubt, visually, how this information was calculated. That's a poor set of writing right there. That should be 80. 8 divided by 80. And this one will be 12 divided by 80. I hope this gives you an idea of how the charts relate to the kind of data. And if you have any questions, refer to the book, Another Student, or contact me personally.